It was growing up in Massillon, I think, was one thing that I'll always treasure. Life was easy, even though we had nothing. It, Massillon was always so cohesive together. Saturday night downtown Massillon was like it is now with all the cars down there, but it was our cars and their cars, and people would get down there early to get a parking space. And then people would come along, talk to people in this car, then they moved to the next car, and the next car, and that was Saturday night. And it was a big do. But it was just laughter, you know, and we were inseparable.
And we went to school at Buzzard's Glory. It's out towards Richville, close to Dragg School. And we walked. There was no buses. And no matter how deep the snow was or how hard it rained, we still attended school. From there, we went to Longfellow School and then down to Washington High. And we graduated out of Washington High in the year 1930.
We even walked to Washington High because streetcar fare was a dime and we didn't have the dime to ride the streetcars.
It's a round trip. It was 5 cents each way.
And of course, in those days, a married woman didn't work outside the home unless it was a necessity. So that ended my working days for a while. As I said, I settled down to raise Kane. I spent the next few years raising them through getting them in school. When they were in school, then I went back to substituting. By that time, they had permitted married women to work as substitutes. And I went in school as substitutes. And in the meantime, I was always interested in writing. And when I was home with the children, and it became an outlet.
Now, in this area, we had 3 bowling alleys. We had 3 general stores that sold all kind of wearing apparel, merchandise. Because when I was in 6th grade, I worked for one of them. And I'll never forget, we ordered a fella a peg leg. And the peg leg came and through the mail, you know, and I didn't know what it was. I opened it up and pulled it out, and there was a peg leg, and it scared me, you know. I put it back in. It scared the heck out of me. And there was 5 saloons. This was before Prohibition set in. 5 saloons, 12 barber shops. We had 6 grocery stores and meat market combination. And let's see, they had, during the Prohibition, all the business places sold liquor illegally. But then the door would open in the back, and that's where all the action was, you know. That's where all the women were, and slot machines and whatever. And we had coffee houses. Every nationality had their own coffee house. In other words, the Greeks had their coffee houses, Albanians had theirs, Macedonians had theirs, the Bulgarians had theirs. They catered to their own people, you know. And they would serve their native type of coffee and their native smokes, and they played their native cards. Then, of course, in 1933, when Prohibition, the act was repealed, and Ohio was one of the last 3 states that put the repeal into effect. They held back. Ohio was one of the last 3.
Is that right?
And they were one of the last ones to sign up in the beginning.
And in the meantime, the Depression hit. My husband was out of work, and the WPA at the time was offering classes for foreign-born who wanted to become citizens. And they also offered classes for Americans who were illiterate. And I was hired by that program and taught Americanization classes. I taught over at the old Oak Park School, which was now Emerson School, evenings. Most times I had approximately 100 in 2 classes. And at that time, the Spanish Revolution was going on, and we had an influx here of the Spanish Republicans. When the war went sour for them, they fled to the United States, and there was an influx here, and they lived out of Columbia Heights. And most of them were well educated in Spanish, and all they needed was English. And I enjoyed that very much. It was a very heart-rending sight sometimes to see bald-headed men standing up at a blackboard trying to trace a small word like cat, being just pleased with themselves when they succeeded. And I really enjoyed that.